On the other hand, Syria reiterated its commitment to combat Islamic State and intensify military operations against the group. Moving on. Updates next on the released new trove of Epstein files. Well, the U.S. Justice Department released this new trove of documents from its investigations into the late financier and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, bowing to pressure from lawmakers who forced their disclosure with the new law. The release follows months of political wrangling amid rebellion by some of President Donald Trump's staunchest supporters over his administration's reluctance to make public all records tied to probes into Epstein. Although the Justice Department added a note to the web page where it posted links to the documents that said all reasonable efforts have been made to redact victims' personal information, but warned that some could be disclosed inadvertently. A White House spokesperson praised the Trump administration following the latest release by the U.S. Justice Department, saying that the release was a testament to transparency of the administration, before accusing Democrat politicians of involvement. On the other hand, Democratic Representative Ro Khanna of California said that the law requires all unclassified documents related to Epstein be released. Addressing journalists, Ro Khanna said that it is disappointing that they haven't been able to release these documents on time in compliance with the law. While it's clear they're trying at the very least to meet the deadline, they should have been able to do more. A spokesman for former U.S. President Bill Clinton, responding to a series of photos released by the Justice Department showing Clinton socializing at one time with the late financier and convicted sex offender, said that this isn't about Bill Clinton and suggested the move was about shielding the White House from scrutiny. It added that the country expected more answers and not scapegoats. DD India's Akshay Dongre joins us with more on the story. Akshay, the bulk of the new documents released by the U.S. Justice Department remain heavily redacted. Do you think this disclosure will stoke skepticism of being a high-level cover-up?
Well, absolutely. And in fact, the sort of redactment that has been done on Epstein files is only going to highlight one thing more, that something far serious, far grave, far heinous in terms of crimes is being, is being hidden from the public. The Republican Party, especially the Trump campaign, spoke a lot about the Epstein files, spoke about declassifying Epstein files, releasing them for a very long time. In fact, the MAGA support base has been one of the most vocal voter base that has been asking for the release of Epstein file. But the sort of files that have come out in public are nothing short of disappointment, not only for the MAGA supporters, but also for the entire sort of public that has been calling for the names of these people who were associated with a known sex offender to be released in public. Many a times the US government is saying that it will be a national security threat, it will be a threat to their relations with foreign countries, and so on. And all of these things are being said to sort of cover up the most heinous and the most controversial parts of the file, without which the release is rendered useless.
Okay, even so, the files shed some light on the disgraced financier's intimate ties to the rich, famous and powerful, Trump being among them, although the release files make scant reference to Trump. Will the case turn into a political liability for Donald Trump in the days to come?
Well, it seems like it, and in fact, it has already become a political liability because had it not been for the sort of pressure that was coming in from the voters, especially of the MAGA core voter base that has been questioning the Trump administration on over not releasing the files, the sort of political pressure that has been coming in from all sides, even these files wouldn't have been released. Especially this entire issue has taken a U-turn as far as the promise made by Donald Trump is concerned. However, it would be too naive to think that any substantial thing is going to come out of the release of these files, especially against the people who are ruling right now, because those are the very people who are controlling every aspect of the release of files. So it is highly, highly unlikely that they are going to release anything substantial when it comes to allegations on Donald Trump are concerned, or any kind of allegations on his allies as well.
Okay,
And
we'll
it may just become a political case of trying to release only those section of the files that target the opposition leader, for in this case the Democrat leaders, and sort of other scapegoats that will be thrown under the bus to protect the real culprits, as far as who were involved in this entire racket of not just sex offenses, but also sex crimes as well.
Okay, we leave it here. Thank you very much, Akshay Dongre, for those details on the story. For the benefit of our viewers, let's give you this timeline about the Jeffrey Epstein's investigation and the fight to make the government files public. So it started in March 2005. The investigation opened against Epstein after a minor reports sexual abuse. In May 2006, the grand jury indicted on solicitation. Then in July the same year, Epstein was arrested after indictment, and FBI began its investigation. In 2007, the federal prosecutors drafted indictment, and the secret no prosecution deal was offered. In June 2008, Epstein pleaded guilty to state charges, and he was sentenced to 18 months in prison with a work release. In 2009, Epstein was released from jail after 13 months. 2015, Virginia Gift sued his aide for defamation over trafficking claims. November 2018, Miami Herald exposed the scrutiny of the plea deal. In July 2019, Epstein was arrested again on sex trafficking charges. August 2019, Epstein died in a New York jail awaiting trial. And July 2020, federal prosecutors charged G. Maxwell with sex crimes. December 2021, Maxwell was convicted of sex trafficking and other crimes. June 2022, Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in prison. January 2024, the judge unsealed more records. New information was revealed. In 2025, this year, the Department of Justice said that there is no client list, and the House pushed for the full file release. And in November 2025, the Congress passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, and Trump signed it into law the next day, which implied that these files be made public. And what we saw on December 19th, the release of files, but much of the files were redacted with pages blackened.